stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most are off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedledum, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leave him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beast dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay-at-home Disney dad.
I realize I gently brushed over this movie as a lead into its sequel, but that was before I had truly committed to this project. I don't think any Disney movie deserves a harder scrub than 1989's The Little Mermaid. Until a few weeks ago, I had no idea this was Disney's return to their roots vehicle and was their first animated fairy tale since 1959's Sleeping Beauty, and it ushered in what's known as the company's Renaissance period. But it was the first Disney movie that was ever on my radar as a kid to really hammer home the point that this movie's success and reputation washed over all cinematic taste, genres, and sexes. The first time I ever saw The Little Mermaid was at a sleepover birthday party the same night we watched Terminator 2. While this is one of the 4 or 5 Disney classics I had already seen before I started this journey, I recently rewatched it for the first time with a critical eye, really examining the plot, character motivation, and execution, and even turning off my positive bias towards it. And I have to admit, it's pretty airtight. The tone is bang on. There's danger and consequence, but it's never uneven or uncomfortable. Ursula doesn't kill people. She wants to trick them into giving up their souls and turning them into polyps, which is a great word, look it up. So the darkness in the movie is more playful than nightmare-inducing, which is apparently a difficult balance when measured against some of the other randomly horrific Disney movie moments. And you can still feel the nervousness of the risks without having to think about your favorite characters possibly being snuffed out if they fail. Like in The Rescuers, when they lower the little girl underground in a bucket and try to make her pry a jewel out of a skull as the water starts rising, only to pull her back up at the last possible second before she drowns. That bleak scene is the only thing I remember about The Rescuers, and it ricocheted around my brain my entire childhood. Okay, Under the Sea won an Academy Award, and rightfully so. It's catchy as heck and was one of the last true hit Disney songs that wasn't manufactured as a standalone song for radio play. The lyrics to Under the Sea push the plot forward and point to specific characters. Isolate Under the Sea from the movie and you still know it's about how awesome it is living under the sea. Isolate Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King and you would never guess in a million years that that song is about lions. Part of Your World is another example. You can't cut and paste that song anywhere else. It's about a mermaid that wants to be human. Compare it to Moana's How Far I'll Go and you're going to start picking up what I'm laying down. Even in production, you can tell one song was structured for the movie and the other was produced as a radio hit. Ariel talks over the first part of her song, letting it build as the instruments gently creep in, whereas Moana just suddenly starts singing full force with a full orchestral backing. Most of the negativity I see towards The Little Mermaid is how Ariel, quote, changes everything about herself for a man I call BS. She clearly is and has always been obsessed with the human world long before she saw Dreamy Eric. It's the whole point of her character. Meeting/saving Eric was just the cherry on the top that finally pushed her to act on her fantasy, and then her father's harsh discipline forced her hand. Are any of you out there really going to call Ariel out on that? Like, if you're obsessed with, say, the circus your entire life and then one day you randomly got to save the life of the hottest clown you ever saw, wouldn't you celebrate that as fate? Yeah, she gives up her voice for him, more on that later. But isn't there a medical condition or term for when someone pretends they are something they're not to make themselves more appealing to someone they are romantically interested in? Yeah, it's called dating. So the movie starts with a fantastic marriage of animated water and an orchestral rendition of Part of Your World that kicks up when we actually go underwater and see the mermaids for the first time. Magic. Speaking of magic, how perfect is the movie poster? I don't think I've ever actually seen it before until tonight. It's subtle and effective. Again, well done. Ariel brings human items she finds to a know-it-all bird who's an avalanche of misinformation, but Ariel doesn't know any better and hangs on his every word. There is such a fun innocence to this scene that really sets the table for the characters in the movie. Ariel misses singing practice, gets scolded. All she wants to be is part of You're There Our human world, and for some reason when she whisper sings, I want to be where the people are. I wanna see him dancing. It gets me every time. Of all the human things Ariel could dwell on, dancing tops the list. It forces you to kind of leave your body and re-examine dancing with the same nervous awe you had in the 4th grade. She saves Eric's life. Sebastian sings about living under the sea, takes home an Academy Award, and narcs her out, showing Ariel's father, King Triton, her secret museum grotto of human items which he destroys out of anger. She sobs all the way to evil Ursula, but not before scorching Sebastian with, "Why don't you go tell my father? You're good at that." Oh, underwater burn. She makes a deal with Ursula to become human for 3 days in exchange for her voice. If Ariel can't get Prince Eric to fall in love with her in the next 72 hours, Ursula gets Ariel's voice and soul forever. Of course, it turns out what Prince Eric was most attracted to, as a near-death mermaidy vision, was her voice. Sad trombone. It's also here I'm always reminded of the episode of Futurama where Fry falls in love with a mermaid and uncharacteristically takes all the appropriate gentleman steps to start a new life with her under the sea as a caring, compassionate partner, until their first night together, when it's revealed that being intimate with a mermaid consists of the female laying eggs, then leaving the room while the male fertilizes them. The scene comes to a complete pause, then hard cuts to Fry, slow motion running away from his underwater house as fast as he can, and he drops, in my opinion, the most laugh-out-loud, funniest, darkest line in television history. But enough Futurama. Back to Ariel. Even without her voice, Eric still almost falls in love with her, but Ursula panics, turns herself into an attractive human lady, calls herself Vanessa because, fact, all Vanessas are evil, and in record time, Eric falls in love with her and proposes to her. Okay, pause. So if Ursula's an evil shapeshifter and she made herself, quote, attractive and got a prince to fall in love with her in record time, doesn't that beg the question why she chooses to spend her days in a dark underwater cave trying to trick regular folk into giving up their souls? Girl, rethink your long game. Alright, Eric has been duped. Say something, Ariel, say it. No, right. Ariel's aquatic friends come and ruin the wedding and expose Ursula, but time runs out and Ariel's soul belongs to the Sea Witch. King Triton makes Disney history as the first parental figure that actually seems to really care about his kid and demands he take Ariel's place as a polyp and even offers Ursula the magic trident, making her queen of the sea or whatever. Ursula agrees it's Pulp Town for Triton, and with control of the trident she makes herself the size of a kraken and commands lightning. This is a great climax because finally the fear of death exists for the very first time in the movie, but it's so wrapped up in adventure and fast cuts that it still seems playful and not so on the nose, like, oh, I don't know, the people decomposing in the Black Cauldron. To end the carnage in a great twist, it's not a magical shell or some sea incantation they suddenly remember that stops Ursula. No, it's a good old-fashioned skewering as Eric sails the broken sharp point of the ship, the bow starboard, through Ursula's belly, killing her. Again, the violence was saved for the climax. There's something going on here, folks. I think it's called effective pacing and storytelling. Everything is back to normal, but Ariel is still a mermaid and Eric is human, and Eric, much like Fry, would rather have Ariel in the room when it's time to make midnight noises, so there's still a sad problem. King Triton again gets kicked out of the animated Disney Parents Club by truly caring about his daughter's happiness and uses his powers to turn her into a human woman. Alright, everyone. Can we put the notion of Ariel changed everything about herself for a man to bed once and for all? Being a mermaid wasn't what made her special. Ariel's voice is what made her special. And when she gave that up, she had to work 3 times as hard, and her plan still kind of sort of almost failed. Not changing for someone else is the proper, timeless takeaway from The Little Mermaid, and I learned that the same night I learned that robots with artificial intelligence will one day rise up and kill us all. I'll leave you all with this. Why does Ariel wear seashells? Because B shells would be too small and D shells too big. Self high five, that was a great joke.
That's what I think about.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channel that he's allowed to be employed